Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Go Local News editor Kate Nagel. Would like to thank Ray Whitcomb, the former state rep, for coming in to give his big view this week on tax breaks. But now I'd like to welcome my next guest, a regular, Bob Whitcomb. Thanks for coming in today.
Kate? Nice to see you.
Let's riff.
Fall day, very cool.
Beautiful day, finally. I think we deserve it. It was kind of a rainy week, and it looks like it's going to be a nice weekend.
Yeah, warmer than usual, I think.
Well, I think I'm going to try to. I'm going to hit the
pool. It's
pool.
killing all the lobsters, you know. The warm water.
Is it?
Yeah, it's killing the lobsters. Yeah.
Well, we don't like that, even if I am trying to hit the
Well, we can all move to Greenland and try the lobsters up there. Club Med Greenland.
Club Med Greenland. Let's start off with what Ray Whitcomb was talking about. A recent TSA was just approved by the City Council last night. This is a 20-year one for that project down at the bottom of College Hill, Steeple Street.
Right.
And there was some opposition to it, saying 20 years. I'll tell you, it was interesting. I spoke with a council person yesterday who said, look, if it remained empty, the parking lot pays $50,000 a year in taxes. Over 20 years, we'd get about $1 million.
Yeah.
So if we're going to cut them a break at 18 and then get 23 over 20 years instead, should we really be complaining? So there's really two sides to this
I'm in favor of filling every parking lot with a building. Parking lots are terrible. They say go away. It almost sounds counterintuitive. But parking lots, especially in a beautiful area like that at the bottom of College Hill, they look terrible. Absolutely. We need more mass transit, more bicycles and stuff like that. But put a building there. Absolutely. Fill it up. Density. Density is good.
So you weigh in that argument. And what about the argument from the folks that say, well, it's just giving a break to developers and the city loses out?
Name me a developer who isn't getting a break.
No, pretty
Find
much.
one. Name one. Name one.
They're pretty much all here.
That's right.
So I'd like to thank Ray for bringing that up and giving his view on it.
He was just being a terrorist.
Ray, it's the world according to Ray. Speaking of the world, of course, the focus right now, obviously, still on the nomination process.
Yeah, Kavanaugh will win. And the interesting thing, of course, be what effect, if any, on the midterm elections. Now, as we've said about 8 trillion times a day, a week, let alone a month, is an eternity in politics. But it's my theory that probably the Trumpians, who've taken over the Republican Party, might have actually done better if Kavanaugh were defeated. And now that if Kavanaugh is going through, maybe some of these blue wave people who would say they're going to vote might actually vote. The blue backers tend not to vote. The young people, a lot of the minorities, they whine, they piss and moan, but they don't vote. Maybe they'll be angry enough by the way this thing went through, where they talked to 3 gerbils in a field in a field mouse in this FBI investigation.
Did you have any
It's
hopes
a
that
joke.
FBI
It's a joke.
investigation
A total whitewash, and it's too bad that the Oval Office is running this investigation. That's not good for the prestige of the FBI and the credibility of it.
You raise an interesting point about young people voting. If you go on Go Local right now, I don't know if you had the opportunity to see this morning, Nail Communications, based here,
saw that.
put out a phenomenal ad. Say what you will, whatever your politics are, of just old people.
Old guy like me, right.
Saying their positions.
Don't vote. We'll take care of Medicare and all that stuff.
We'll take care of the planet. We'll take care of everything.
No, don't vote. Don't bother me. Just keep, maintain my Medicare.
You gotta wonder if that was enough.
Especially older white men, animated by rage and frustration, they vote, almost to a man.
It's a great ad. You have to see it.
It's very funny when this sort of old person's face. It's very funny.
So you got to imagine the political talk shows will be the weekend ones at least will be fixated on this. You have to wonder what the fallout would be. Of course, as you said, you mentioned
the midterms. Very, very important midterms. Which have been sort of trending Democratic, but their lead has been declining quite a bit the last few weeks, and I think partly because of the Kavanaugh thing. Because the people. Mostly in the Midwest and the South. The core of the Trump vote is basically the old slaveocracy, and they hate the Democrats, and they hate the fact that their boy Kavanaugh basically embarrassed himself, and so they're embarrassed by it. I think a lot of this stuff they personalize everything. So Kavanaugh, as far as they're concerned, sort of is them, even though he's actually his rich boy from Bethesda.
And we've had the interesting, sidebar of the growing up and that culture there. But, you point to the midterms, but let's talk about the immediate press cycle. I mean,
Yeah.
the press loves and they salivate around
Oh,
these
sure, it's drama, it's got, sure, everything.
So what happens Monday,
Conflict.
Tuesday morning is, not as far ahead as, we're coming on 4 weeks now, but, they don't have that sort of punching bag to be able to go back and forth. What are they going to pick?
What are the next one they go on? The economy is, well, the job growth is slowing a bit. The economy is still strong, so that's not really it. There'll be other social issues. There'll be a lot of concern that Kavanaugh will help get rid of Roe v. Wade, which I wish they would. Send it back to the states.
Send it to the states.
Defederalize it. Yeah. So I think that'll come back a bit, and be more about economic inequality. There'll probably be a bit about that. But once Kavanaugh is confirmed, which as we sit here yakking, I think he will be. I think the memories will be shorter than you might guess.
You did allude to that earlier, of the short memory.
In a week, there'll be some other thing. Could be the Chinese.
Yes, with Pence.
Could be, yeah, I heard that very, very strong.
They're not very happy with the vice president right now.
No, they aren't. And, whether, I think one of the big uncertainties is when the macroeconomic effects of the trade war will kick in.
So economy, foreign relations, of course, but the midterms will be here before we know it. Speaking of politics, we saw the big announcement yesterday from independent Joe Trilla.
That was great. I don't know what what kind of retainer he's on from Gina Raimondo's campaign, but that's fascinating. Yeah, right.
Well, I'll tell you.
Very good. I guess there's more bad blood in that party than we thought.
It's the fallout has been fast and furious. The Republican caucus yanked her minority leader position.
I saw that. Were you surprised by that? I was, that it went that far.
Nothing surprises me.
Really? No, that's right. Yeah.
Nothing surprises me. So, of course, again, looking ahead, the election here, we'll see what next surprises have in store. But let's talk a little bit, Bob, about the Rhode Island Promise program and some of the numbers that were released this week by the administration and some of the work that GoLocal did to uncover that CCRI is pointing to a retention rate of which they call the Promise cohort of 1,577 students who went simply straight from high school to the college. But GoLocal had the internal docs that showed the actual number receiving Promise scholarships. It was about half of that. Can they lump scholarship and non-scholarship students together?
I think GoLocal has probably looked at some of this stuff and some of other outlets, but I think we need more. There are a couple of other states have done somewhat similar programs. I need some comparative stuff. Also, it doesn't look that great, but I think you've got to let this thing flow for a couple of years to see how well this thing is working out. There's got to be more promotion, more explanation. They have to manage the kids, the young people, more than they are. And I think we need more facts, such as are these comparatively low numbers? Is this due to because too many of these people have family obligations, other jobs? In other words, we need more sort of sociological data.
We probably do need that data, no two ways about it. And we do know that historically the number of kids going into CCRI who complete it in 2 years is low. I don't think
and around the country, I think for similar schools, for associate
it's just
degrees,
not CCRI. It's not simply not.
New York had somewhat similar numbers.
It is as nationwide as young people who are trying to cobble together, paying for school. But how can you evaluate a taxpayer-backed program if you're lumping together folks who are paying de facto to go to school? There's different incentives.
Well, you're mixing up apples and oranges.
You're mixing apples and oranges. So if you want to see,
difficult.
You got to break out the ones that are getting part of this program, and that's simply not what the college nor the governor's.
Well, again, I think we need whoever wins the governorship next month, which I think will probably be Gina Raimondo, especially with the help of Representative Morgan. We need to get far more sociological data, socioeconomic data about these people, and we need more comparative stuff for the rest of the country. What are the models in the rest of the United States?
I agree with you.
What state is approaching this most intelligently? And we don't really have that yet, I don't think.
No, the head of the faculty union at CCRI is asking for that exact raw data to really break it out to see, again, how are these students who are getting free tuition performing, approaching, returning. And you can look at the overall picture, but you need to look at each piece of the pie.
We need more information on their employment status, their family conditions, all that stuff. It's very early in the game. This thing's a couple of years old, and we just don't know yet. It doesn't look that hopeful. Of course, my old bête noire, if you want to call it that, is the failure to do more with vocational education, the
A lot of folks
trades.
have said
That's
that.
the future, I think, the trades. A lot of these white-collar jobs, service jobs, they're going to get wiped out by AI and the internet.
We have seen
know?
it already, fast food
yeah.
places.
Even the law is being affected by
Yep.
that. Accounting, I mean, journalism, well, we know journalism, the giant sucking sound.
So let's talk about, speaking of journalism, what's
Yeah.
going to be in your column this
Well,
weekend?
I'm going to talk about, the infamous 610 connector. Now they're stopping it, they're delaying it again. Why? What's new? So I'm just posing a bunch of questions. I think this is clearly a response to the outrage about Route 195. The lane closures,
Oh, yeah.
but
There was outrage about
there's no
that?
real explanation. Why are they doing this? And of course, every minute you delay it, it costs more.
Yeah.
So I'm basically just raising questions there. I mean, this is something, and the reason I lead off that can be a little bit dry, but everybody around here uses it, and everybody in this sort of 3-state area is on that all the time. It's also a hideously ugly road, and I hope they fix it up. I want to give kudos to the Bay Campus of URI for the tuna project, the yellowfin tuna. They're beginning a research program leading to aquaculture, and I think that's very exciting. I've been down to the giant tank, but I do raise a psychiatric question: don't these fish get claustrophobic? And nobody's answered this question. Going back to politics, I think Governor Raimondo should give back the $12,500 to the Sacklers. The Sacklers, folks, are the people who own Purdue Pharma, which fraudulently marketed OxyContin and made billions of it, or hundreds of millions of it. And I think she ought to give it back. She doesn't need the money. That's like 2 Danish and a donut and black coffee.
Well, you saw we had the activists in the studio who made that big
Send
heroin
it back.
spoon.
Send it back. Send it back. I know the Sacklers giving money to everybody, and they like to plaster their name on the walls of famous colleges that don't need the money. I won't mention it.
One up to the north.
And I noticed that in David, our mutual friend David Jacobs' paper, there's something about a holiday market they're going to do on Newbury Street, I think, or Copley Square, and I suggest a similar thing in Providence. Maybe Westminster, Kennedy Plaza, Memorial Park,
I like
something
that
like
idea.
that.
They've done them up in Boston. They've done one in that.
The City
City
Hall
Hall
Plaza.
and Plaza, but
The
now they're
only
doing-
nice thing that's ever happened there.
It has the expansive space, right?
Right, and
Isn't it,
average wind velocity of 100 miles an hour.
isn't it riot proof? Wasn't it like
Yeah,
designed?
that's the idea.
all those great
right.
brutalist Cold War era attributes.
Do we have time? And NAFTA, very little effect. The long-term effect would be to raise prices a bit. The short-term effect would be insignificant. The dairy farmer's supposed to be making it, well, it's going to raise, I think, the percentage of American dairy stuff in Canada, which is a sticking point, by 1 percentage point, according to the Wall Street Journal. And rather surprisingly to me, the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, which is usually slavishly adoring of Mr. Trump, doesn't like it. They think it's bad for
Very
business.
interesting. Well,
They think it's bad for business.
lots of food for thought here in the
Yeah,
Navigate Credit
yeah.
Union Broadcast
I
Center.
know.
But as always, appreciate your coming in to talk with us
Hey.
here. We'll let you go.
See you soon.
And we'll be
Happy
back here.
weekend.
Okay, thank you very much.